All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So the you're entering into a lot of psyop right now, and it's designed for a lot of different things. But what they're doing is they're creating the urge to kill someone in your agents. They know that because when they were coming up through the ranks of wherever they were in this world, they had to had to get somebody to act out violently, kill themselves, or move on, resign, or disable them, and then they're in. Right. So they know what they're doing. This is the largest scale operation I've ever seen, or overt. There's covert. Like they came into Santa Fe, took the whole city over, right? And they're trying to kill me out, and possibly a couple other people. They'll tell you it's political, but that's their bullshit, excuse. Right? Yeah, the whole thing is if they do their investigation, they'll say Preddy was rescuing a woman. Uh, Legally, statutorily, he was committing several felonies. Minnesota will never say that. That's the scam. So I don't know if the president's really going to let them investigate because Walls will say shit. If you watch them, he does this. They may have had an agreement, but they may not have. And Walls will say, "Well, the president said we can investigate it," and then the president you won't let him, and they'll say, "Oh, see, he reneged." He's done that before. Walls lie. He's like a what do they call that? They can't stop themselves from lying. Right. I've seen people in the military like him. He's a compulsive liar. Walls is a compulsive liar. And again, if you're looking at an indictment for all of that, I imagine he would be. Well, I don't know what's going on with Bavino, but I spoke about it before. The reality of government. If Trump needs to cut a deal, well, see you, Bavino. But he isn't losing any money. And again, for Bavino, it'll be a welcome rest. Right. I mean, Centro's a serious district, area, but his own, whatever it is. But, but well, I really didn't think we should make it about one person. And that really causes him to be targeted from inside and outside. But, but people in government are shitty. That's why they go to work for Facebook and X and all that shit. Because they're shitty too. Some work for Joel Osteen because he's shitty. No, Joel Osteen actually isn't the evilest one. He's not evil. Ellison, I think Ellison's probably the most evil. They timed the whole thing to coincide. Right. So I've been watching for days. I couldn't get to it. You're will me down. Again, I'm not embarrassed. You're all millionaires and billionaires and people that work for such people. Right. But I did get a surge in power. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. So I'm speaking about the training thing. I was like dictating the post that Satan has the eye on this planet. But I was saying it more neutrally before I said Satan had the eye. And I'm inside, I'm not going out as much because of the storm and everything. They're not around me as much, so they can't curse me off as much. So my scene's picking up. I'm laying there, and as I'm speaking to dictate, figure out the post that I'm going to dictate, all of a sudden an eye flashes up on my ceiling. Now Satan goes, "Oh, it's God. That's not God. God's telling me it's you, Satan." So I am seeing mind's eye stuff a little bit out. Just the way it is. It's in the scriptures, but it's in spiritual literature. But you're also going through a takeover in government. Inside government, people are jockeying for power. But some of those people are with walls. May even look conservative. Could be Stephen Miller. He's evil. Okay. No, I live in, like, when I woke up, I realized I was living in wealthy people's heads. Right. So, like, I know how they live and how it works for them, and I help them through things. Like, 'cause if you got money, nothing really matters. Money doesn't matter. So if they'd have let me even have like 100,000 in the bank, I'd have been fine. Because like I'd have bought some, I'd have bought something probably 10 years ago and it'd still have it, like a bed or something like I'm looking for now. And I just give things to charity, not even return it. They kind of screw themselves because poor people are more apt to ask for a refund. Like, well, anything could be a bad shoot, but you know, the but for is there. Well, you have to understand all that beeping, saying that they're just warning the immigrants. That's psychological warfare. And the government has to think through process while that's going on. The fictitious protesters, they don't have to do anything. So it definitely would impede the ability to think through things, like shoot, no shoot, and all that. So that happens a lot in life when when you're serious, you can see it. They're trying to get you to create an aversion within yourself to come up with tactics to repel what they're doing. So at one of the detention centers, they went and took somebody down, and they kind of did something similar to what I was saying, but it's just not as polished. They probably used more people. So again, you're going to have your what they call the diamond or the whatever modified version. Again, you have to strategize this and figure out what you want to use for what you do and what's the best. But let's say you do the diamond or something like it, maybe double diamond. You can still use other people as a second perimeter. So you use a diamond and then a second diamond. Okay, but everybody has to understand what's happening in these operations. It's kind of like rugby, right? And that's where we're having trouble because again, they're disrupting. They're using disruption technology. They're there. Everything's not as fluid. The reason it isn't as fluid for some of these operations is we were using military and then we took them out. And you never replaced the military with your people. So that plan actually worked. So that's how Satan works also. There's a shift somewhere in the middle and then you never adjust, right? You just kind of remove those people. Now, as far as Minneapolis PD being the stars and they never shot anybody, well, that's bullshit. Your own chief of police is causing the shootings. It's like the KKK, running the city. It really is. I mean, just because there's people of color here, it doesn't mean it's not the KKK tactics and methods. Again, I said supremacy is one of the problems. There was definitely felony crime to pull protection. Had it done to me several times every year, probably continuously in Kansas. Just money grubbing pieces of shit, narco lovers and sex traffic lovers. Thank you. And that's all bullshit. Everything they're saying about the shooting is bullshit. It's unfortunate, but it's bullshit. Well, maybe the president had to do some things to make a deal. It's just, it's the way it works. Look, he didn't build the government. You built it. He's just in there now. He's got to figure out how to negotiate the scumbags and the pig trough. Right. I don't know what happened with that. You got to make sure that AI isn't being hooked up to an ultrasonic system of stealing the world away. Right. Well, you got to make sure AI is not psychologically experimenting with people for corruption. Again, at a certain point, anarchy will be present in the world if this keeps going in the direction that it's going. And there isn't anything on ice or anything like that, or even this particular administration. They're all one-way pieces of shit. And when people figure out that they've been toyed with at that level, they're going to freak out. Right. Now I'm talking about the Mrs. Goods and all the drug users in Minneapolis. I'm thinking about the people. A bunch of led by the nose, useless slugs. Now, Democrats are fundraising off of this like crazy. That's what a big part of it is. Oh, we're going to win the midterms and we're all wonderful. Give us money. You want the immigrants here so you can buy your dope. Again, the immigrants are also part of the sex-based extortion. They don't want them to leave for that purpose too. Well, that was delicious. Too good. Chorizo crumbles. No, you're not allowed to eat chorizo because you're deporting criminals. Right. If you want to eat chorizo, you have to leave all the criminals. We can't wait for that next argument from the libtards. Well, you're eating Mexican? You're deporting criminals? So I went out and shoveled the snow again. It looks pretty good out there. It's just we're not going to get that defrost for a while. Wonder if it's the Russians or the Chinese. Could be. Maybe even the narcos hitting us with the blizzard ray or the polar ray. Now they're using a lot of psychological methods. Nah, it's not safe. Oh no, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not talking about, and I'm not going to talk about it because they'll just go, "Oh, he's crazy, it's dangerous." Right. But I see it. People are pieces of shit. Offer money, they'll be a criminal for life. Or should I say, offer them enough money, right? They'll go to hell, man. Hell, what? That's why they go. Oh no, it's only transgender people that are going to hell. That's why they do that. They're trying to make corrupt people. I actually have specific statements from God and the angels that nobody will go to hell for simply being transgender. That's one of my charges. I have to help the transgender people. No, the Democrats didn't help. The Democrats got him in trouble. It's like having a bad friend that gets you in trouble. They had nice, quiet lives till the Democrat pushed them out front. They're like, ah, what is this? I even think that if they didn't do that, that the trans woman in Thailand that they just put in prison that had the Miss Universe, I think she'd have been okay. Right? I think she was part of the takedown of the trans world. Right. Well, if you sit down with level-headed trans people and you sit down with level-headed 60, 70-year-old women that use female bathrooms, they could explain it to them, and you just kind of their world's not done yet, so you can't bring your world on. Right. You should be respectful of the fact that they don't want a penis in a woman's bathroom. It's really that simple for most of them. They don't have a problem with anything else. They sit on a toilet, you sit on it with your penis. They don't feel comfortable. Pretty much that. That's how it was explained to me by a woman that was like 70 years old, like maybe almost 10 years ago, I guess. It was pretty simple. Wasn't any discrimination. It's just she goes to the bathroom and she doesn't have biologically a penis and she doesn't want one on her toilet. Especially a strange penis. She might accept a family penis on her toilet. Call her old fashioned, but you know, that's simple. So you wait until people don't care about penises in the female bathroom. You don't force it on people. I told you that. Like, no, that's pretty much how it was explained to me. I don't know. There wasn't much other conversation. I don't have one, and I don't want it there. That was somebody that was like a spiritual peer of mine. What's her name? What was her name? Can't remember her name. Linda. Right. Right. Now she did have a son, so I'm sure there was something there. But it's just the whole idea of a strange biological male. It's a female. In mind, most likely in spirit, being on that bathroom. It's just too much too soon. I mean, there's no even the electric vehicles. I told the Democrats too much too soon, but they get greedy. I don't think global warming is being caused by what they say it is, and I've said that for years. Right. So I don't know if electric vehicles are actually that important. But again, having fresh air is important. I understand that point. But again, we can't kill the world just to have fresh air. We have to keep our wits about us and move in a logical method. It actually made it hotter. So I don't know how you're going to navigate that thing. I mean, just think about that. Oh, the planet's getting too hot. We have to stop using fossil fuels. So what happens when they stop using fossil fuels? It gets hotter. And didn't we do a great job? They just won't let us go to the next level of making it hotter. So Kathy Hochul is from Buffalo. She's like a snow removal geek. She didn't I don't think she knows the other, or maybe she does. I don't know. She was showing people how to shovel, but I don't think she knows the other shovels are there. The S curve. You should show. I was gonna post her page. Say, look, this is something new. Check it out. Because you can actually throw snow. Because she was saying she's trying to tell people. I mean, she cares, so she's saying, look, shovel this way so you don't have a heart attack, and that's the two shovel thing. Like I was explaining that. Right. So she was explaining to do one, two at least, so you don't push your body too hard. Again, for people that are fit, it doesn't push their body too hard. Again, she didn't tell you you should drink some electrolytes and minerals before you go out to do it. But you could be dehydrated. Like people drink their morning coffee and then go out, urinate, and excrete, I guess they call it, and then go out to shovel, and they're dehydrated. That's another thing, not being dehydrated when you shovel. But there's a shovel that you can use. It's an S shovel. It's the easiest freaking thing in the world. You can actually take tons of snow and go because the shovel doesn't come way up. You only, you know, very. But yeah, also take breaks. I mean, especially if you haven't been active, you just have to be intelligent about it. You can't like wear a weapon and then walk up to an ICE officer and tell him to f off. Right. Well, you need to really, like I said, you really need to rein in those auditors. It's not legal because if you do an investigation, you show a pattern and practice that they engage in, and that isn't to audit. That's for likes and money influencing whatever they call that thing. Right. And they're actually designed a program like they're doing to the officers in the streets of Minnesota. They designed a program to fail the officer's ability not to act out. Right. So I told you a long time ago, hopefully you received the messaging, to start cases against the auditors because they're not audited. They're stalking and harassing, trying to defeat, what you use for security in your systems. Again, that's why I believe it may be Russians that did that or Chinese. Believe me, they're there manipulating people online. And their social credit system is bullshit. Because what the social credit system doesn't take into account is what other people are doing around you. So they'll fail your social credit if they don't like you by putting the secret police around you, screwing up your life. Right? Then if they like you, they give you money, and then your social credit goes up. Right? Same thing they do here. And actually, the FBI and all that, they have a grading system of how well you are and whether you need to be investigated, and they trigger the investigations with it. Some of it's out and out lying, but they can put operators around you to fail your life. They caused the Omar Mateen shooting. There's no doubt. Them and the local police. But I was up there. I know what you're about up in the Orlando area. Bunch of bullshit. Bunch of crookery. They don't care. They just go, oh, well, they're gay people and they died. Big deal. God got them. Oh, then see what happens then? They're calling themselves God. They know they psychologically. That's the last time you heard about somebody being psychologically operated because I jumped right on it. Oh, we hadn't been there in 10 months. Oh, so you psychologically operated somebody doing human experiments that you call some other bullshit called investigation. You experimented with their psychology. And then 10 months ago, you weren't, but they were there. They were there in the local police. That's the scam. Right. They never talk about it anymore. Because they fucked the guy's head and he killed a bunch of people and they're responsible. Like these idiots out here in Butler County. God will get them. God will get them. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.